Torej, na današnje srečanje tukaj sta organizirali dve instituciji, to je Univerza na Primorskem. V njenem imenu nas bo nakratko nagovoril njen rektor in pa Slovensko raziskovalno in gospodarsko druženje iz Brusla. V njenem imenu je danes tukaj predsednik dr. Draško Veselinovič. Lep pozdrav obema, lep pozdrav tudi dr. Tomažu Pisanskemu. Rektorja bi pa prosila, če lahko novinarjem nakratko razloži povezavo med današnjim visokim gostom, med Univerzo na Primorskem in Evropskim kongresom matematikov.
Potem bo prevod, ne?
I can
No, lep pozdrav v imenu Univerze na Primorskem. Dobrodošli na Univerzi na Primorskem. Welcome to the University of Primorska. Zelo na kratko, mi smo počaščeni, da imamo današnji obisk. To nam veliko pomeni. Smo mlada institucija z mnogo mladimi ljudmi, ki se poskušajo umestiti v evropski znanstveni prostor. Kot veste, smo pred 2-3 tedni dobili projekt TIMIK, to je velik uspeh naše univerze, ki nas postavlja, mislim, počasi tudi na ta znanstveni zemljevid. Naslednji korak bo zagotovo poskus, da pridobimo tudi prestižne, kakšno od prestižnih znanstvenih štipendij iz ERC razpisov, tako imenovanih ali advanced ali pa starting ali pa tista vmesna grant za mlajše in za manj mlade znanstvenike. Tako verjamem, da bo ta univerza po tej poti, če bo hodila, še daleč prišla. In današnji obisk je tudi spodbuda vsem tistim, ki poskušajo razmišljati izven okvirov z idejami, ki so za nekoga nore, ampak kot smo danes videli na tem predavanju, tudi pripeljejo do velikih odkritij.
Najlepša hvala rektorju, hvala tudi dr. Veselinoviču za prevod. Dr. Tomaž Pisanski, morda še vi par besed o pomenu, zakaj je pomembno, da je danes z nami gospod tako v vlogi matematika kot v vlogi predsednika raziskovalnega sveta.
Jaz bi tukaj opozoril še eno drugo stvar, še tretjo dimenzijo, to je Evropsko matematično društvo in pa predvsem Evropski matematični kongres. Univerza na Primorskem bo gostila 8. Evropski matematični kongres leta 2020. To bo takrat največji dogodek matematike v svetu in profesor Bourguignon je v bistvu eden od začetnikov tega Evropskega matematičnega društva in serije kongresov. On je bil predsednik francoskega matematičnega društva, ko je gostil prvi kongres in to je zdaj nekako logično nadaljevanje. Mi smo zelo zadovoljni, da je prišel k nam. Danes smo imeli sestanek razširjenega organizacijskega odbora tega kongresa in profesor Bourguignon je me lahko svetoval iz svojih bogatih izkušenj kot izvrsten organizator, kako se moramo zadeve lotiti. In smo zelo hvaležni, da se je vzel toliko časa tudi za ta obisk.
Hvala dr. Pisanskemu in želim predam besedo novinarjem, mislim, da imeli vprašanje. Še vprašanje za gosta. Professor Bourguignon, just a question for you before I pass the floor to the journalists. You are a mathematician and you are now in a very important position as the president of the European Research Council. What would you say, what is the general state of research in the EU?
Oh, that's a very good question, actually, which was really the purpose of the creation of the European Research Council, which has been a long struggle by scientists. It took 15 years to get it off the ground. And there were real obstacles, namely that research was not part of the shared responsibility of the European Commission. So actually creating the ERC was legally impossible. So it became possible because there was a new treaty, which was the Lisbon Treaty, which then recognized research as a shared responsibility of the European Commission. But to come to your very specifically to your question about the stand of research in Europe, I think there are maybe 3 different points I want to make here. The first one, it is a pretty steady situation that Europe is producing basically 1/3 of new knowledge worldwide, in spite of the growth of science and research in Asia, which is massive. If you follow these figures, it's very impressive. China, Korea, India, it's, extraordinary the development. So Europe is still have this big share. But then if you look at the papers which are the most influential, which are the most cited, then Europe was really lagging behind the US very, very much. So if you look at one statistics, you can use various measures, but the 1% most cited papers, in 2005, there were 8,000 papers with European authors, and there were 12,000 papers by American authors. If you look at the 2014, which is last time we could measure this, Europe now had moved from 8,000 to 14,000, which is a very significant progress. And for the first time, Europe was before the US in terms of 1% most cited papers. So I think it was a very good sign, and I'm very pleased to say that among these 14,000 people, 1,000 were people from with having an ERC grant. So one of the purposes of ERC was definitely to push the quality of research in Europe, and to really, in particular, make Europe more attractive to researchers. So you can be attractive in two ways. One way is attracting people from elsewhere to come and settle in Europe, sometimes Europeans coming back to Europe. But also another way of being attractive is to not let people go away. That is, to people leave Europe and go elsewhere. So I think we have a number of examples of people who definitely come back to Europe because they got an ERC grant. I have one economist, Hélène Rey, whom I'm meeting quite regularly now, and she definitely came back from a professor position in Princeton to take an ERC grant in Europe, which I think is a good sign, and she's a very leading economist. I mean, Mrs. Lagarde wanted to take her as the chief economist of the IMF, so that's quite a sign of her visibility. So I think the whole point is definitely to enhance research in Europe. The next point I want to make, which is really a choice by the Scientific Council of the ERC, which has the responsibility of developing the program, is the priority given to young people. So from the first day, the Scientific Council decided that 2/3 of the support should go to younger people. And at this moment, the 2/3 of the support, the grants given, are for people who are typically between 30 years of age and 40 years of age. So this is for us very important because these people represent the future, but also because getting a grant early in your career makes you independent, gives you the power of developing your own team. Even with respect to your rector, you can tell the rector, I've received this, I'm going to decide, you're not going to decide for me. And so this is very important. Sometimes not so easy, you know. And one element we introduced, which I know is something which is sometimes debated, is what we call portability, which means that a researcher who gets an ERC grant can decide to move with the grant elsewhere. So when I took office, first statistics I asked, actually my first day, was how many people are using this? And actually I was very surprised. It's not even it's typically 3%. I said, oh, but it's not working. But then, talking to people, I understood what happens. Typically, if an ERC grantee comes to his rector or vice chancellor or president, say, I want to go, usually something happens. So this is the way you empower people. So I think portability is a good thing, even if I know it's sometimes people are not too happy with this because it sometimes leads to people leaving. And also, so these are the 3 points I want to make. First of all, it was a long struggle. It's very important that the scientific community defends ERC because the natural tendency of everybody is to tell us what to do, and we don't want to be told what to do. So we want to really encourage people to do what they want to do, their best ideas, their most ambitious ideas. That's what we want them to do. Second point is, as I said, I think ERC has been delivering in the sense that it has improved the visibility, the quality of research in Europe. We are not perfect. We certainly can improve. We certainly should do more things. And the last point is the priority to young people.
Thank you. I think we can go on, but I do...
Yeah, I'm sorry to have to leave. Thank you so much for your hospitality.
Samo še vprašanje za dr. Veselinoviča, nekakšen vezni člen, ne samo med politiko in univerzo, ampak tudi gospodarstvom, kaj pomeni današnji obisk.
Ja, profesor Bourguignon je prvič obiskal Slovenijo junija letos, kjer je obiskal Kemijski inštitut na njegovi 70-letnici, inštitut Jožefa Štefana in pa Univerzo Ljubljana in seveda tudi ministrstvo, kjer se pogovarja o ERC, to, kar je zdaj povedal, ne, kako dobiti ERC grant, kako izboljšati tukaj slovenske dosežke. Ne, to je bila danes recimo diskusija pri rektorju. Univerza Primorska dala pripombe, kako bi lahko ta gap čim bolj zmanjšala, da smo bolj uspešni pri ERC grantih. No in seveda to počne to naše združenje. Skratka, to, kar je tudi profesor Bourguignon povedal o samem stanju znanosti v Evropi, to mi nekako na nivoju Slovenije počnemo, vendar v Bruslu. Skratka, pomagamo ob vsem tem v Bruslu. Kjer je pomembno biti prisoten, kajti Bruselj je glavno mesto EU-ja in tam je treba biti prisoten. To mogoče Slovenija še premalo razume, ampak jaz zdaj na kraju sam vidim temu zelo prekleto tako. No.
Najlepša hvala, sedaj pa mislim, da še vprašanje novinarja STA, če sem prav razumela.
Assuming that I'm the only one present, Mitja Bočanček from Slovenian Press Agency. Well, just briefly, so your visit today surely says a lot, but I'd like to hear what you think about further development of the University of Primorska. Namely, we know the Faculty of Mathematics is already quite developed, and maybe what would you suggest for further development?
Well, first of all, I've been here just a few hours, so I won't pretend I know everything. I was told a number of positive things. First of all, I think university should consider, and I know it has been a teamwork, as a very big, honor to have won this competition to organize the Congress of European Congress of Mathematics in 2020. It was a difficult battle, I think. There was a very good opponents, and the fact that Slovenia, in particular this university, won is, I think, is an achievement. So next is, of course, the news, which I'm sure you have been covering about this special program on wood, how do you call it, wood science, which... Yeah, so I think I'm sure you covered that, which I think is a very interesting development because you know the money of the European Commission has various components. Some components are really directly related to research, some others are related to structural funds, and some others are also directed to so-called widening support. And I think to have won of these projects is also a remarkable achievement. From what I understood, the presentation I heard, clearly this means a lot in terms of connection between scientific disciplines, a lot between having really put together a number of various institutions, not only in Slovenia but elsewhere, which means having built a real network which is functional, but also to reach out to industry, because I asked this question not long ago, what is the portion of Slovenia covered by forest, because it looks like any place we are going there are just forests around us. So, and it looks like it's a very significant part of the country, and which was not exploited in the right way. And clearly for this is, of course, you need to have the right structures, the right companies, but also you need to have the right added value. And added value means innovation, new approaches to using the woods in the right way, and maybe new architectures, new way of looking at how one builds houses, how one can use woods and so on. So I think this has a scientific component, and the fact that the university gets involved in this, organizes itself around this, I think is a very positive move. Now next, of course, new university, I think it's very important to be ambitious, and my feeling is that the people I met here are ambitious, and I like that, because we do encourage at ERC people who are ambitious. So I think this is that's the only way of developing yourself. I mean, if you just say I'm fine and I just wait until things go, this is not the way to go. I think one has to really look always for new ideas, new areas, and of course using the synergies which exist. And So, I mean, first of all, I'm very thankful for this invitation. It was a complicated schedule, so I'm sorry I will have to leave soon because I have to be in Ljubljana later in the day. But I'm quite impressed, actually. But the people I saw, their dynamic, their mobility, the way they want to work together. So very positive impression. And I'm not saying this. People who know me know I tend to be blunt. So.
Hvala za vprašanje, and thank you, Professor Bourguignon, for your visit, for your beautiful words, and thanks to all the speakers. In hvala seveda tudi vam kot občinstvu. And I think now we can let you go on.